Hi there, this is Super Senior Bert, which means I'm 80 years old. I know. I don't look a day over 79. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It means I'm chronologically gifted at 80. Gifted or cursed. Not sure which one it is. People say, "Hey, Bert, how are you?" Or I meet somebody, at the grocery store, cashiers. I know a few of them there, and where I get my coffee, and they'll say, "Well, how are you today?" I say, "Well, for a bald-headed, ornery old fat man, I'm doing pretty good," which is true. I am doing pretty good. Alrighty, I want to welcome you to the OMSH Hour, Old Man's Story Hour. We'll share some personal experiences with you and hope they're of encouragement or funny. And I'm going to encourage you to share some of yours with me. And you scroll below here as you're viewing, you scroll down, you'll see a comment section. And I trust you'll enter some experiences in that comments section. And you can even enter a comment if you don't like me. I don't know. It's that also helps my YouTube, believe it or not, but it does. Today I got two short stories, but they're kind of connected. I'm 80, but when many years ago, our youngest daughter was just a toddler, and I worked a night shift, very heavy, industrial, dirty, exhausting, yada, 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 all that stuff. But it was, it's 40, 50 years ago. Hard to believe. Where'd that go? And I came home one morning after working all night. My wife was going to go get groceries, so I was going to stay up with the youngest daughter. The other two were in school. And she's getting around all right, but I mean, she wasn't, but she was getting around, walking and running, when they get their legs, they're gone. And it was spring, summertime, so I had to take a shower. And I locked the front screen door. We didn't have air. The main door was open, but I locked the screen door, and I thought, oh, she can't open that. Well, I was wrong. I came back after my shower, and I'm going around the house calling her name, looking out back. No, looking out. And then I checked the front screen door, and it was unlocked. I mean, she's out there. You get that hollow pit of the stomach feeling, and it engulfs your whole body. And I called the police. Worried sick. Some of you probably have experienced that. I hope you've had a good ending like I have. And a few seconds, wasn't very long, the police car showed up. Officer came in, and I told him what happened. Cop said, "You stay right here in the house. This is where I want you in case I have to call you." I said, okay. And he says, "I'm going to drive around." Well, he did. A few minutes later, he pulled up. He says, "I found her." And, of course, I could breathe again. And he says, "Get in the car." And we went just a few houses down, and there she was sitting on a swing set down the neighbors. Her older sister used to take her down there, and they go on the swings because my older daughter played with the girl that lived there, and those people knew both my daughters. And the story was that the cop saw her there all by herself and figured this must be her. He was right. So he went up, but my daughter wouldn't leave the swing set and wouldn't go to him. She was scared. Of course, the uniform, she hadn't seen that, and she was scared. So he knocks on the door, and they come out. Well, prefix to that, they're sitting there, the lady that lived there, sitting there having coffee with two of her friends, and one of the friends says, "There's a little girl on your swing." And the resident said, "Oh, well, that's so-and-so down the street." And then all of a sudden, they said, "There's a police officer in your backyard." And she went to the door and explained, and they communicated back and forth. And the police officer said, "She won't come to me. She's scared. She won't come to me. I'm going to go get the father, and you stay here. Don't let her leave." And she said, "Oh, no, I'll stay right here. I won't let her leave," because she knew her. Then he brought me over, and I walked her home, still with a that hollow gut feeling. That's many years ago. I'll never forget it. But all ended well. And it taught me, yeah, she could open the door. Was it her fault? No, she just wanted to go down and play in the swings like her older daughter or older sister would take her down. So all was well. Long time ago. Well, not too long ago, a few years ago, I was working at a retail store, big one, popular retail store. And I was at the front door as a kind of a guest, and I had many other responsibilities up there besides being, hi, how are you today, et cetera, et cetera. I had some serious responsibilities. And we, for, missing child, we all carried radios, and for missing child, we had a code Sarah and a code a code Adam. Code Sarah over the radio, and everyone carried a radio. Code Sarah meant a lost child, a lost little girl. Code Adam was a lost little boy. At that time, everyone had a job to do. I believe it was the managers headed for the exits and started watching for someone going out the door with someone in their arms that didn't look right. Other employees would search their areas, especially the clothing. Kids love to get behind into the clothing and hide. They just love that. Then they come out, Mom's gone. So we all went to work. And because the mother came to me, I was at the front door, frantic. I understand that fully. And she said, my child is missing. I said, okay, ma'am. I had a little form I had developed to fill out. And rather than say, little boy, little girl, then she'd say a little boy. And then I'd get on the radio and say, little boy is missing, go to him. And then say, what's his name? She gave me, its name is Bobby. And then what was he wearing? He's wearing this. And then get on. And that was eating up time. Time is valuable. So I had a form. And I said, okay, ma'am, little boy, little girl. Then I get on the radio. We have a code Adam. Stand by for further information, which everyone's ears perked up. And I'd ask her, what's his name? I'd write it down. What was he? How old is he? Write it down. About how tall was he? Write it down. And what was he wearing about that time? The frantic mother saying, just find him separate. I says, ma'am, this is the quickest way. Trust me, just follow me. And it was much faster than making an announcement. He's wearing the blue jeans. And back, what was he? I just got all the pertinent information immediately. Then I'd come back on the radio because they knew there was a code Adam, waiting for further instructions. And I'd say, his name is Billy. He's 5 years old. He's wearing a blue jean jacket with tan pants and tennis shoes. The last seen in the blah, blah, whatever area it was. So now they had all the information at once. There wasn't all this back and forth and back and forth. Well, I think it was a code Adam. I'm not sure. But anyway, everyone went in action. It's very efficient because everyone, we got to find him. More often than not, it was a lost parent. And my favorite is when you ask the child, when you find a child, and when they're missing, they're lost. They're standing there scared out of their mind. You can see in their eyes that this isn't right. Where's mommy? And we'd go up and say, sweetheart, are you lost? Okay, just get down on my knees, eye to eye with him and talk with him a little. I'd say, well, who are you with? I was with my mommy. Okay, what's your mommy's name? Mommy, Daddy, every time. They had no idea what their parents' names were. But anyway, this child was found. They brought him up to the front. That's the rendezvous point. Until the parents go to the front door, there's a outfitter there that's going to be with you, and that's where we're going to bring your child. We'll let everyone know on the radio when we find him. Sure enough. Code Adam is cleared. We have found Bobby, and we're bringing him up to the front. Well, I was stationed at the front desk, and interestingly enough, when they brought him up, and then, of course, the mother's relieved, and the mother is about 6 feet away from me, and she starts talking to him very firmly, with a, and don't you ever, I understand that. I understand it. I know the pit in the stomach feeling she had, and now, she wants to make sure he never does that again. I understand that. I fully understand it. And I'm watching her as she's shaking her finger at him, and he's just staring, and she's going on, and like I said, I'm about 6 feet away, and I'm looking at her, and I said, ma'am, and I said it loud, and she looks at me like, yes, and I looked at her right in the eyes, And I said, just hug them. She stood there staring at me for a couple of seconds. All of a sudden, her eyes welded up with tears, and the tears came down her cheek. She nodded her head yes, and she wrapped around that kid and hugged him. I wanted to say, hug him, don't squeeze him to death, he's got to breathe. Anyway, it was a good ending. All I can see, that's many years ago, probably a good 5, 8, 10 years ago. I can still see her looking at me as I said, just hug him, and that face and tears just welled up in her eyes. And she nodded yes. She nodded yes. But anyway, it was a good ending. So, that's, see, till next time, the next hour, not the next hour, but the next time we'll have an OMSH. And if you have an OMSH or an OW, Old Woman Story Hour, that's too. Please leave it down in the comments. Scroll down from where you're looking now and leave it in the comments. And I would love to share that with people. And if you have something that wasn't so good and you need to tell somebody, you don't even know me, but you want to talk, you leave that comment too, and I'll tell you what, I'll cry with you. Okay? See you next time on the OMSH. This is Bert.